Hello, YouTube.
Is you don't even look them in the face?
Start off by apologizing to you because Ben slaughtered last week's video.
Yeah, I did.
So sorry, Cindy. Since you're like the only one out there watching YouTube, Ben messed up last week's episode. Hopefully this week will be better.
I don't think you're going to throw me under that hard.
Straight under the bus. Hopefully this week will be better. We're going to lower quality a little bit, shorten up that time for uploading, and maybe we'll try putting the video picture-in-picture, since it's only one, and it's only one split. Yep, we're going to try it today. So we'll see.
Yep.
Let's get to the podcast.
All right. Right in the middle. All right. Ready?
Yes. Hello, and welcome to the BOWA Show. Living a positive life in a world that makes that incredibly difficult at times.
It does. Like when you're trying to put together a 4K YouTube video. It's incredibly difficult.
Yeah. For anybody who did try to go check out YouTube, there were not many of you, so don't lie when you're listening to this. But we did say it was going to be better, and last week was not. So
we will fix it.
Apologies. But if you're a fan of this show, whether you're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from, because the podcast always comes out clean and crisp.
Yes,
That's at least something that you can count on out there.
Well, we knew that the YouTube was a B-roll. We announced that a few times.
Yeah, but we're going to try and up it a little.
Yep.
But no matter where you get your positivity package from, leave us a review. Makes a huge difference. If you're on Facebook, you can always find us there, the BOWA Show Podcast. Sharing stories throughout the week. Little motivational daily. Boom, boom. Get you going.
Boom, boom. Get you going.
We got good stories, good content hitting the Facebook page. So go over there and give it a like. If you want to shoot us a message sometime, do that. If you'd like to be a guest, let us know.
Yep.
We're expanding. We're growing in 2020, and we want you to grow along with us.
As fast as my waistline would be nice.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Yeah. Exponential growth.
Exponential. And as I'm raving about Pizza Ranch a moment ago.
But this show would be nothing without you, the audience. So thank you so much for joining us today.
We love you. We need you. Please become a part of the show. We welcome you.
Yeah, everybody who's done things to help us along the way, you are appreciated.
It is a community, thank you.
Even just down to the people who listen week in and week out. Yep. And, randomly one at a time, I can tell you guys, tell other people, like, hey, this is a decent podcast, you should listen to it. Because we see our numbers grow of old episodes, where, like, people go back and listen to stuff that they haven't listened to before. So we love seeing that growth, and the only reason that it happens is because of you guys. So thank you so much. But today we are here for episode 42.
Damn.
Season 2, episode 5.
And we're almost as old as you.
No, not yet. One day.
Because you're old.
I got the joke.
Okay,
Ben.
yeah.
Thanks for that reiteration.
You're welcome.
I wouldn't have caught it if it wasn't for your captivating color commentary.
Ooh, that was nice.
Yeah, you like that?
Nice alliteration.
Ooh. Good way to start the show.
Very good.
You know what else is a good way to start the show?
Us laughing and pointing at our viewers and saying, look, we told you so, the Chiefs would freaking win the Super Bowl.
We did.
Yeah. So Nana Nana Boo Boo, we're better than... Oh, no, that's Tasha's. But I'm happy that we predicted correctly. It was a very difficult prediction, and we pulled it off.
Yeah, I really went out on a limb there.
Yeah, it was way less than 50-50 chance here.
But coming out of the Super Bowl prediction, which we called correctly,
yes,
we do also have some good news.
Yep.
From the Super Bowl.
Yep.
It's a quick story.
It does
short read.
It does not include the halftime show in any way, shape, or form.
Well, that's good news for some people.
That's very good news for some people. Like the guy who got to lift J-Lo up. That was good news.
Kansas City Chiefs defensive tackle Derek Nottie is celebrating the team's Super Bowl victory by paying for all dog adoptions at the Kansas City Pet Project. The rescue organization made the announcement on their Facebook Sunday after the game.
I don't have the same article.
Kansas City wins. We are so excited to announce that Kansas City Chiefs defensive tackle Derek Nottie is choosing to celebrate the Super Bowl win by paying for the adoptions of all the adoptable dogs currently at KC Pet Project. We have had an amazing season-long partnership with Derek and couldn't have thought of a better ending. The partnership has been sponsored by the Derek Nottie Foundation. To learn more or to donate today, visit the NottieFoundation.org for more details. The fee waiver will be applied to any dog that became available for adoption February 2nd or before. All season long, the Chiefs player has been sponsoring the adoption fee for one dog per game won by the team. The Derek Nottie Foundation is responsible for helping fund the partnership, which is pretty cool that like all season long, and the Chiefs are pretty good. So I think they won 11 games this season.
I thought it was 12.
Was it 12?
I thought the 49ers had 11.
Okay. Well,
regardless,
either way, yeah,
that's a lot.
He
Awesome
paid for
way.
the fees of 10 dogs to go out there to new homes.
Awesome way to give back.
Yeah, and
now all of them.
Not staying in the shelter, right? And
That's
now
cool.
all dogs are available for that.
That's paying it forward to like 4 different people all at once.
Yeah,
I like that.
Paying it forward is always something that is crucial, and it's a big part of being kind. And it's amazing that today is all about being kind.
Yes, sir.
We've talked about it before. We'll talk about it again. We'll always bring a different twist to the topic because it's important to remind you that, like, when you're going through the struggles of life, when you're just going through the motions, the easiest reaction that you can have is to lash out, to be bitter, to be resentful, to be negative. That's the easy emotion. It's there all the time, and it's always in your face. The much tougher thing to do is to fight that off and to, in the face of adversity, find yourself going for kindness and going for compassion and going for empathy and reaching for those emotions instead, which are the tougher ones to get onto.
Yep.
So you can never talk about it enough.
What's one act of kindness that you witnessed in your week this week that was not instigated by you?
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, I know. I got one. You want me to start?
Yeah, you start then.
So, I was at AutoZone yesterday, had to get a new car battery.
Yep.
And the lady working there did not look like she should be working at an AutoZone.
Okay.
She was quite elderly. Didn't know. She was having trouble using the computer, to put it lightly. She's quite old, like I said. And it took a long time just to check out a battery. It took about 15 to 20 minutes. And
That
she
is
kept
rough.
calling back to the manager, hey, I need you to do this. And he'd come over and kind of huff and puff and whatnot. And there was a line behind me, too. But I saw that the guys behind me, I left and I said, thank you. Yep, that's fine. She's training. She's learning. She's doing her thing. I said, thank you. And then she says, sorry about the wait, to the guy behind me. And he goes, oh, that's not a problem. I've been there. And that to me was just like, thank you. I was trying to be nice to this lady. Hope she didn't have a bad day. And the guy behind me continued it.
Yep.
Be kind. She's training. It's never easy for somebody who's learning or going through a job they don't quite grasp yet.
Yep.
And when you've got, especially in retail, and then you've got customers barking at you, and that's just miserable. Just be nice to servers and people who take care of you. And the service and retail industry is greatly underappreciated sometimes.
Right. And, like you said, she's an older lady. She probably shouldn't be working there in terms of, like, knowledge of things.
She looked retired age, too.
Right.
Maybe she needed
She's
the
trying
job,
to get the extra money on the side. Yeah.
She's making that bread.
That's right. And in
That's
today's
right.
world, sometimes you need that side hustle to pay the bills.
Yeah.
But
I think
don't
it's
blame her.
required nowadays to have a side hustle to pay the bills.
Right. She's out doing her thing. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But when everybody is a little bit more patient, it
Yeah.
just makes the situation
It
better.
was Saturday night where nobody's at an AutoZone place on
For a
a
good
Saturday
reason.
night for a good reason.
Right. You're
all the
mostly
time.
upset.
Unless they're rebuilding the car. So,
Right?
So,
Working
yeah,
on a
it's like-
project.
Relax, though. Just breathe. That was rough. They put her on a Saturday night at an AutoZone while she's training.
Yeah, that is a tough shift to work when you're dealing with disgruntled people for the most part.
Did you happen to see anything kind throughout your week?
Yes. Margie, good listener. Also
Always kind.
my girlfriend.
You always rub it in my face.
Rescue.
Oh, Ben, single as fuck.
There goes the
I
first
have
F-bomb
Margie.
of the show.
Margie,
We're
the
ex-
perfect
we're
girlfriend.
explicit
I'm Sean. I'm so awesome.
right out of the gate.
No, that's always how you say it. Very condescendingly.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly how I sound all
That's
the time. isn't it,
sarcasm
Ben?
if you can't pick it up
But
in the
I
podcast.
I just crap all over Ben's hopes and
Yep,
dreams, and
yep.
that's why he sits here with me once a week.
Yep,
because
Sean
I
is
just
always
am a
negative.
terrible person to him and ruin his life.
Yep.
Anyways,
Yes. Continue.
Ben,
Continue, Sean.
before I was so rudely interrupted,
Oh, gosh.
she rescued a dog from the middle of the road this week on her way to work. Golden Retriever, picked him up, and he jumped right in her car, so he was pretty scared running around the road. And Muskegon Animal Control came and picked him up, took him to Pound Buddies, and they microchipped him and found his owner. And Margie called back to get an update from them, so she knows that he found his home again and reunited with his family once again. So
Good
that's
deal.
a nice, easy kindness that had nothing to do with me.
Yep. Good deal. I like that.
Yeah. So on top of good news from the Kansas City players, we have just a moment of kindness. Maybe a moment of kindness will become a running segment on the show. We'll each start it off with, what'd you see something each week that made you,
I
made
like
you
it
happy?
because I think we should also give the
I mean,
listeners.
damn it, isn't that what this show's all about?
We should give the listeners the opportunity too. Like if you're
Share
sitting,
with us your moment of kindness.
Well, if you're sitting there listening to us, think about kindness you saw this week.
Right.
You know, spot the kindness. You know?
Yeah.
Like Sean, it wasn't right on the top of his head.
Yep,
necessarily.
sometimes you got to think about it for a sec.
Got to remind yourself.
Yep. And that's the only way that you hold on to those things, and that's the only way that they're in the forefront of your mind is by thinking about them all the time,
Yep.
by putting them there yourself.
Mhm.
So, what was your moment of kindness, listener, sitting there, listening?
Comment and let us know.
Hopefully, one day.
Or keep it to yourself and just enjoy a happier life.
Enjoy being happier. It just is upsetting that, like, week in and week out, we talk to people like, hey, do this. And it's like, nobody does it. But I know you're listening. I know you're listening
We see
because
it.
I see the numbers. But,
Well,
you know.
they
hey,
just expect somebody else to do it.
God love you. Because we sure do.
Yep.
At least you're listening. Whatever.
Yeah, we appreciate
One day
it.
you'll comment.
Well, we'll
get you there.
We see a lot of people growing in our community, of like more people commenting or sharing, or on the Facebook page or liking the posts, and that engagement is nice. We're growing that. It's building.
Takes time.
Yep, it's tough to get people to be friends.
Yeah.
You just got to get everybody in this community and get them happy,
Feeling
but it takes time. Yep. Not everybody can be like Aaliyah
Yeah.
and just blow up the social media. And,
Right.
Gosh, you did a good job.
It's true.
Yep.
But today is going to be a good day talking about kindness. And that kindness kind of leads the two clips to play today are just kind of one long video that you can find the link for in the description, as always, from YouTube. But the first one, it's like 6.5 minutes, but I kind of just want to run it straight through because it's just a guy telling a story pretty much, and it runs through almost the duration of the 6 minutes. So even though, it might be a long stretch, which we've heard before in the past that may be
I'm hesitant to do this, but Sean's the boss.
I'm calling you out.
Yeah. He wants to give us his advice, and he did. And you're breaking the rules, Sean.
I was even thinking we might just go all 11 minutes right out of the gate,
Oh
and
my
then just
gosh.
like roll into our conversation afterwards. But I'm not doing that. So
Well, whatever you
suck
want.
on that, Ben.
You're the boss, Sean. God.
This is the BOWA show, not the Sean show.
It is the BOWA show, but you are Sean T. BOWA Clark.
That's a given name, not a taken name.
BOWA?
Taken name.
Was
not
it
a
given name?
Opposite. Yeah, a taken name, not a given name. So I wasn't given the BOWA.
You took it.
I took it.
Well, now we're the BOWA show. It could be inferred that you are the BOWA. You are the best of what's around.
That's so you can't be saying things like that. I don't need the ego strokes.
I'm
So
sorry.
that's okay.
I don't like that word.
What word?
Stroke.
You don't like the word stroke?
No.
Hey, oh damn it! No,
We've gotten off.
I
gotten
have
off.
to remember this first. What? Ben, say spice.
Spice. I don't understand why it's so funny.
I'm so glad I got that on here just for one episode because he doesn't understand that he sounds like he's from Australia. when he
Australia,
says
mate.
it. He's talking about spice. He's talking about spices.
God, you got me on a
Spice.
you got me on a bunch of words last time too.
Ice.
Ice.
Nice.
Nice. I don't think it sounds weird. That's
It
just
is.
how I
I
talk.
guarantee you that anybody listening to this just got a good chuckle because it is hilarious.
Matt's cracking up. Yeah, he thinks it's freaking
Be
hilarious.
Be careful, it's real icy out there.
It's not very nice outside. It's ice all over the roads. All right, Sean, let's reel it back in here. We might be
Yeah.
losing some people.
Well, you know what's important to living a good life? Laughing.
Laughing.
Yep. It's also important
At
to be
me?
kind, though.
Laughing at me?
Maybe I should be more kind and not make fun of Ben.
No, it's all right. Trashing on my YouTube skills.
Ooh,
Trashing on my
You're right.
the way I talk.
It has been a day of going after Ben.
It's all right that YouTube was trash. I don't know how it got that far.
It's because your stomach's all upset, so I know you're like weak.
I think
you know?
alcohol was involved in it.
Was it?
Probably.
Well, at least now we have.
I told you I was working on it during the Super Bowl.
That's true. You did.
Yep, I must have hit a wrong button. Or I ate.
It happens.
Yeah, we're gonna fix it though. I still got a footage.
You know what else happens though?
Tell me.
People enjoying this next audio clip.
It's gonna be a great audio clip. Oh, and here we'll have to make a segue into this.
It's a good story.
Clip.
I'll make the segue. Let's hit it.
Excellent.
Enjoy.
Yeah, this one. Who's it by? Let me see. I forgot already. Sorry.
I know it's called Be Kind.
Be Kind. It's by Above Inspiration. You can check them out on YouTube. Really good channel. I've seen a few of their videos. They've got a memorable logo. Once you see it, I'm sure it'll start popping up more on your Facebook. So check it out.
I want to focus on that wonderful concept, that vital virtue that unfortunately and regrettably is often forgotten, the virtue of kindness, being kind. I want you to hear a story. 20 years ago, I drove a cab for a living. When I arrived at 2:30 in the morning, the building was dark except for a single light in a ground floor window. Under these circumstances, many cab drivers would just honk once or twice, wait a minute, then drive away. But I had seen too many impoverished people who depended on taxis as their only means of transportation to drive away. Unless the situation smelled of danger, I always went to the door. So I walked to the door and knocked. Just a moment, answered a frail, elderly voice. After a long pause, the door opened. A small woman in her 80s stood before me. By her side was a small nylon suitcase. "Would you carry this bag out to the car for me?" she said. I took the suitcase out and returned to assist the woman. She took my arm and walked slowly toward the curb. She kept thanking me for my kindness. "Oh, it's nothing," I told her. "I just try to treat all my passengers the way I would want my mother treated." When we got in the cab, she gave me an address. Then she said, "Oh, by the way, could you drive through downtown? It's not the shortest way." "Oh, I don't mind. I'm in no hurry. I'm on my way to a hospice." I looked in the rearview mirror and her eyes were glistening. I don't have any family left," she said, almost to herself. "The doctor says I don't have very long." I quietly reached over and shut off the meter. "What route would you like me to take?" For the next 2 hours, we drove all around the city. She showed me the building where she had once worked as an elevator operator. We drove through the neighborhood where she and her husband had lived when they were newlyweds. She had me pull up in front of a furniture warehouse that had once been a ballroom where she had gone dancing as a girl. Sometimes she'd ask me to slow down in front of a particular building or corner. She would sit staring into the darkness, saying nothing. As the first hint of sun was creasing the horizon, she suddenly said, "Okay, I'm ready. Let's go now." We drove in silence to the address she had given me. It was a low building. 2 orderlies came out to the cab. As soon as we pulled up, they were solicitous and intent. Watching her every move, they were expecting her. I opened the trunk, took out the small suitcase, carried it to the door. The woman was already seated in a wheelchair. "How much do I owe you?" she asked. "No, you don't owe me anything," I said. "Oh, you have to make a living," she answered. "Oh, there are other passengers," I responded. Almost without thinking, I bent over and gave her a hug, and she held on to me tightly. You gave an old woman a little bit of joy, she said. Thank you. I squeezed her hand, then walked into the dim morning light. Behind me, a door shut. It was the sound of the closing of a life. I drove aimlessly, lost in thought for the rest of the day. I could hardly talk. What if that woman had gotten in an angry driver earlier that morning, or one who was impatient? What if I had refused to take the run, or had honked once and driven away? On a quick review, I don't think I have done anything more important in all my life. I love that story. Sort of helps me allow life to make up its mind again. You need to remember that story. The times you will want to be anything but kind. Because it is so much easier to bear a grudge and hate in return, or get back, or get even. Hate destroys the vessel it's kept in. Revenge never healed a wound. There's one thing all of us have in common: we've been mistreated by somebody. Some of you have known abuse, misunderstanding, and all of this has a way of siphoning your tank of kindness. It can make you hard, and you can get on with hard. You can get along with it. In fact, some will even respect you more because you're tough. But I urge you not to be. Be kind, tender-hearted, forgiving one another. When I'm truly free of revenge and bitterness, there is plenty of room in my heart left for kindness. And not until. Do what's right. Do justice. Love kindness. Walk humbly with your God.
That was enjoyable, YouTube. Hopefully, you just saw a clip.
God damn it.
He's not going to let that one down until we get a decent episode out there on YouTube.
Yeah. It's just like when I accidentally deleted all of the footage again.
The first episode.
Very first episode.
Yeah, gone. And we probably could have found it.
It's still here, I'm sure.
Right.
TJ said it's here. But she gone.
Yeah. Should I jump back into the podcast? I heard that story, and the first thing that popped into my mind, and I don't think I've talked about it on the show specifically, but I've talked about it before, is my very first customer with Lakeside, Mrs. Morrison, the old lady that I became very good friends with, if you remember that.
I think you talked about it on the third episode.
Okay. Yeah.
Just lightly.
Right, really quickly. Yeah. That she was the first customer that I really bonded with, that I would stop and talk to well after we did her roof. I've been with Lakeside this is my 10th season now. And so, yeah, she was in my first season, and I would stop by every year that we would do a job in North Muskegon and say hi to her and sit down and have a root beer, and we'd have a talk. And I remember the last time that I saw her, I got a picture with her because she was one of my favorite people in the world, and I stopped back to see her again 3 months later and found out that she had passed in the time from the last time I had seen her until, in the summer. And her family immediately, when I had said, "Oh, well, my name's Sean, I was the roofer," and all of them instantly went, "Oh, you're Sean the roofer." Her name was Joe. Joe talked about you so much, and anytime someone would say that they had a problem with the roof, "Oh, you gotta call Sean at Lakeside Roofing, he'll take care of you, he does a good job." I got 7 referrals out of her,
wow.
Right? And every time that somebody sends a referral, we do a $100 gift card for her. So I added $700 to Mrs. Morrison's pocketbook through referrals because she would sing my praises every chance that she got. And
Good for her.
it's one of those things too where, you know, I never did it for that. You know, honestly, I just did it because the first time I met her, she reminded me so much just of my grandma, and we bonded right away. And that's a relationship that I'll always cherish, and I'll keep her legacy alive by always telling that story that, you know, she is probably the best customer I've ever had. And I didn't even do the roof for her, you know what I mean? I was just doing cleanup at that time. But ever since then, she would always say, "Yup, you got to call Lakeside Roofing, and you got to call Sean because he'll take care of you. He'll do a good job." So
That's tough to find nowadays, you know, in the service industry. I know my generation, my grandparents' generation, they always said, "Oh, I've got a guy." You know, everybody's got a guy, and that I don't care. It's so easy for me to be like, "Oh, well, this cell phone plan's cheaper than the last one. I'm just gonna switch." That's hard. I found out, and I've started to realize for sometimes the older generation because
They're committed to
they're
people.
committed. My mom pays more for insurance than she should, but she's got her guy.
Yep.
Right? Hard to find that nowadays, and you were able to be her guy.
Yeah.
And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And it helped her out too. Good service keeps coming around, keeps giving.
It does, and I'll always cherish my
Cherish
time with Mrs. Morris.
That's more than a referral
Yeah.
discount. That's freaking
a bond,
a
you
bond.
know? Yeah, and it was cool to see that, like, I had made such an impact on her. You know, I had always known that she had made an impact on me.
Her family knows Sean
Like,
the roofing
her
guy.
family knows Sean the roofing guy, and like they had all said the same thing when they met me. They're like, "We've heard so much about you," and it was, you know, just that instant connection. And yeah, so while I was very saddened to learn the passing, I was also a little joyed that she would take her time to let her family know, you know, about me. And
Can we
that I
get her
would stop
photo?
by.
Maybe we can put the photo on the video,
Right.
or in the description. Or
Yeah, I
something.
think I still have it saved, so
Cool.
we'll throw that up too. If you
Yeah.
jump on YouTube, you'll see the photo in the
Yeah.
background. But yeah, that was my story that kind of paralleled this guy, where it was, you know, somebody elderly, and a lot of times in construction or anything else, you know, you're just there to do a job. You do it quick, you do a good job for the people, and you're on your way, you know. And for me, I do make small talk with most of the people I run into just because that's my nature, you know. But you never know when someone just really needs a friend. And I think it's funny that I ended up at that point because the last time that I went over there, she said, "Do you know, I still have the card from when I met you the first time." And she brought over a business card. And it wasn't my business card. It was the person who sold her the roof, the owner, Brad, my boss. It was his card, but on the back, she had Sean, and she said, "I made a new friend today," written underneath it, and my cell phone number written on there.
Nice.
And she gave that to me the last time that I saw her, and I'm pretty sure that's still sitting in my truck as well. And so it just says Sean, new friend, on it. And that was the impression that I left on her from our first conversation, was that she knew she had a new friend made that day. And, you know, and it's not just the elderly. I feel like a lot of people are going through their day and could just use a friend, you know. And when you're feeling lonely, even though you probably do have friends and you do have people in your life who care about you and who love you and who want to see the best for you, that's hard to remember.
Yeah.
And that kindness only helps extend those things, you know. And that's why we talk about all the time on here. You never know what people are going through. You never know the battles. You never know the demons that are in their life. And so please just be kind. And that's why it's going to be a running theme of this show. We'll talk about it a lot. I hope to always find new articles about kindness and how it affects you. I always hope to find new talks that we can listen to about kindness, because I'm never going to stop spouting from the mountaintops that it's been a huge impact in my life, is being nicer to people, is caring about people, is showing that being genuine is not lost today, you know?
I love seeing the "Be Kind Always" thing running around for years now.
Right.
Several years. It's just been all over social media. Shirts getting printed for schools and stuff. I know it was really big in Grand Haven, the "Be Kind Always" movement. Every time somebody posts something and I see somebody say "Be Kind Always," I just get excited because, hey, they're part of our community now. They're spreading the positivity too. I like that. And we're actually seeing a lot more of it come out than, let's say, 80s and 90s and 2000s, because
the internet's being used for something good.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Not everything is brawls in high school basketball games.
Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, Muskegon Heights and Orchard View got into it, apparently, at their last basketball game.
Yeah, making the rounds on social media.
Yeah,
A brawl in the middle of the court.
Yeah, calm down, guys. Come on.
I mean, it's basketball, though. It's easy to get fired up about.
Yep. I don't know if I told you yet or not, Sean, but if anybody has any ins at Big Brothers Big Sisters in Muskegon, I have applied. I want to be a big brother.
Is there like a waiting list or something?
Hopefully I passed their initial test to begin with, unless this comes up and they're like, he swears too much and has too long a hair. But no, please help my application if you have any influence of Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yeah, I like that. You're putting your money where your mouth is, because you said you wanted to volunteer more this year.
Volunteer?
And now you're getting out to do it.
Oh, I thought about it, and you know why I want to be a professor, and you know why I loved working at the Y? Do you want to know why I like teaching?
Kids?
I like being there to be not like the cool kid, the cool adult or whatever, but because I have things to bring to kids, and I still think so much like them. I feel like that if I can inspire them or show them that things are pretty all right, the world's tough, but things are pretty chill.
Yep.
We have a good time in this thing called life.
Right.
Then that's what I want to do. I want to help them out.
Yep.
And this seemed like a pretty obvious way. It was staring me right in the face for so many years. So I finally, an ad came up on Facebook. I said, yeah, I want to be a big brother. So I filled out the app and got a few references, and hopefully they call me up.
Yeah. It's weird
Fun
how,
way to give back.
Like, when you're passionate about those kind of things, the opportunities present themselves. So, like, oddly enough...
I announced it.
Right.
I said, I want to volunteer. And then it popped up.
Exactly. And last night I worked for a couple hours. My buddy Ryan owns a head shop and vape store in the mall in Muskegon. And so I filled in there for a couple hours for them last night because they were going to a concert, and so it was either like they were going to shut down or, it'd be me there by myself. But I was sitting there, and it's a pretty slow night, and there was one kid who stopped in, and, he was just making small talk, and he just goes, yeah, I think I got fired from my job today. He worked at McDonald's up by the mall. He was just like, I don't know, I'm thinking about joining the Air Force. He said he was 21, almost 22 years old. And
good for him.
Right. And he's like, I haven't decided yet, though. I'm not fully committed to, like, the military, but I know that it would be a decent route to go for, like, my future. And he's just like, how old are you? And I was like, well, I'm 31. And he was like, oh, where are you at in life, and where were you at 21? And this is like a total stranger who asked me this question. Right, that's what I said. I was like, dude, you want to know where I was at 21?
We've got 50 plus hours to tell you.
Loads of time to talk to you about this. I was just like, but it's funny that I share my story a lot, and I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I put that vulnerability out there for people, and the opportunities always present themselves. But how many times would it be like where you're in a situation like that, and it's like, oh, it's just small talk, like, you'll be all right, kid, who cares, it was McDonald's you got fired from,
Yeah, you just gotta tailor it differently. You could be, hey, it's fine, it's just McDonald's. Or you can say, hey, this is a new stepping stone.
Right.
A
new opportunity, right. A new chance to...
Look at how he's thinking more about the future now than maybe when he was in the middle of the job.
Yep.
I've got my job, etc. Well, now, when that door closes, another one opens.
Yep. And so I gave him like a 3-minute breakdown as opposed to 3 episodes worth of podcast to listen to.
I'm surprised you could get it in such a small little time.
Right. I phrased it like, well, at 21 I was looking at felonies, and 10 years later I am second in command at a roofing company. So you can go from anywhere to anywhere in that amount of time. Literally, you have your entire life ahead of you, and I was at my almost rock bottom at 21. So you can come out of this much better, and if you're already thinking about the Air Force, it at least means that you have your mind set on goals, and you don't have to be dead set that it's the military. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's trade school. Maybe it's things that you and I have talked about quite a bit. There are a lot of different options out there for the path. Right. Maybe you do want to go to college. Maybe who knows all the different paths that you could take. But the fact is that you're presented with an opportunity because you didn't want to work at McDonald's for the rest of your life. Like there are some people who it's a perfect career path for, and you work your way up through the ranks, and you can get a decent living working through the McDonald's chain of command. But
I know their managers make good money.
Right, but for a lot of kids, it's a stopping ground. It's a job along the way. It's not by any means a destination. And
I think I've seen campaigns where they say it's America's first job.
Right, it really is. Yeah. And so he doesn't have to think that it's the end of the world because you lost your first job.
Sounds like he went in there a little bit down. Probably had a better attitude going out, huh?
Yeah. And, you always just end with that it was really nice to meet you. I'm glad you asked me, And
it's nice the opportunity just pop up.
Yes. And
once you start looking for them or you make yourself vulnerable in the sense where you're like, yeah, I will be kind and talk to somebody. My story will benefit people. Sure. Right. Versus being closed off.
Yep.
you know,
being kind.
The law of attraction.
Yep. Well, and I loved through that guy that everybody was just listening to. I wish we actually knew who he was. It doesn't give him the credit that he deserves, but it's that he says at times you will want to be anything but kind, and that's the truth. Is that because people are going to wrong you, because the next thing I wrote down actually was being abused siphons your tank of kindness. And it's true. Everybody inherently has all this good in them, and the world sucks it out.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people are hardened. That's one reason why I know that yes, there are some people who are just evil in this world and they deserve to be locked up, and they're the people who murder people, they're the people who rape innocent children, and they're the people who may never be able to be fixed. But at the same time, I know deep down in my heart that I could sit down and have a conversation with that person and find at some point in their life something happened that helped make you this way. You know what I mean? There are circumstances that are 100% some people just have these things in them, but for a majority of the cases out there, there's something in their life that happened that made this happen. There are things, and those are the circumstances that you can hate. You don't have to hate the person because something helped shape them this way. And it's always been a distinction of mine. I know I can see that in people. You can see the hurt from people. You can see when that change happened, when they were broken, the trigger that in their life made them snap. And I feel like way too often we forget that there are micro scales of that in our everyday life all the time. There are people, when someone treats you like crap, 9 out of 10 times, it's not just because they're an asshole, it's because 25 minutes earlier their spouse was raining down on them with shit at home, you know what I mean? And then 25 minutes before that they were at a job that they hated with a boss who was shitting all over them and telling them they're not good enough, they're not doing a good enough job, and this has been their whole day leading up to you. And you held the door for them and they didn't say thank you, and now it's ruined your day because how dare them,
It's more contagious than positivity. And
way
kindness.
more contagious.
That's why we got to battle it.
Because it's so much easier to cling to, and it's so much easier to be your base reaction.
It's easier to bear a grudge. A revenge never healed a wound. I heard that.
That's right. That was something I asked you specifically to rewind for me even when we were listening to it.
It's way easier to bear a grudge.
It is. And hate only destroys the vessel that carries it. Mm-hmm. And that was something that I wanted to hear again too, because it really resonates with me that when you're carrying hate around, the age-old quote is like drinking a poison and expecting it to hurt the other person. Mm-hmm. That's what hate does to you, that it consumes you, it takes over, it absolutely plays its part in running your life.
That's interesting.
Why?
Just the thought of the old saying, it's like drinking a poison and expecting it to hurt the other person.
Right.
That's interesting. Just thinking, it's kind of pretty accurate. I don't know, it's one of those things makes you think.
Profound.
Yeah.
Ben's chewing on that
chewing
one
on it, yeah.
bit.
Uh-huh. That one's a little tough.
I like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, see, Ben, this is why you're here. Because sometimes sometimes I just start talking and I'll say something and it resonates, but I don't give it any time to simmer because I don't think about it. I'm just talking,
sooner or later on the videos, it'll like slowly zoom in on me like this.
Right, and it'll be like, let's think about that for a minute.
I was thinking when you were talking, I think if you get the opportunity, I know you can volunteer at jails and prisons.
Mm-hmm.
You might be a really good person to go in there and talk to somebody like, hey, this
Dude, I
is
sat in jail. I know I don't look like it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm not your stereotypical.
You could spread some positivity in a place that needs a lot more of it.
Yeah.
Might be a good opportunity.
Right, good outreach for me.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea.
It'd be
I should look into talking.
Could have a great guest on the show too, or I don't know if you can record.
Dude, start doing like jail interviews.
Jail interview, yeah. I'm Jailhouse Mike.
Oh, Prison Mike.
Prison Mike.
Holy crap.
Sorry, had to. Office reference.
Right. Margie will appreciate it. Matt loves The Office too, I'm pretty sure.
Mike. Oh, had to. But I like also, I can tell the kind of person he is because in the video, he also, towards the end, he said, be peaceful and walk humbly with your God.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the way that he words that because I find that some of the kindest people are the most tolerant
Mm-hmm.
and understanding. And the understanding that your God doesn't have to be the same God as everybody else in the world, otherwise they're wrong.
Right.
Just being understanding that let's do this together. Whatever you worship, whoever you worship, if
The
you
fact
worship
is we
at all,
share this space.
just share the space.
Yep, and let's be nicer to each other.
No kidding.
Should we listen to the rest of this?
I think so. It finishes
I
strong.
think it's a good time to roll out. I think the end of it is like 4.5, 5 minutes, something like that. So just go ahead and take a listen.
Maybe you were born a really nice person with a gentle, sweet personality, and being kind to people comes pretty naturally to you, but I think more of the globe is not that way than is. And the good news is we can change.
It's amazing what one kind word can do. We don't think anything about it, but to the other person, it breathes life into their spirit. Our words have the power to lift people, to help them get through a challenge, to push them into their destinies. When you tell someone, I love you, I'm proud of you, you did great on that project, you're not just being kind, those are healing words. We don't know what people are going through. They may smile on the outside, but on the inside, they're hurting, they're lonely, they're discouraged. Many people have wounds from the past, wounds from a relationship that didn't work out, wounds from people trying to push them down. And just a simple word of encouragement. I believe in you. I'm praying for you. A simple compliment. You look beautiful today. It's no big deal to you, but to them, it's helping heal the wounds. It's lifting their spirits. It's causing them to believe in themselves. Your words can be what keeps them moving forward. And God puts people in our lives on purpose so we can bring healing. Letting people know that you care does more than you imagine. You have the power to put someone on their feet. You have the power to keep them from falling into depression. You have the power to cause them to pursue their dreams. Be free with your compliments. You can think well of your friend all day long, but if you never tell them, they'll never know. God wouldn't have brought it up if He didn't want you to tell them. He wouldn't have put that thought in you if the other person didn't need it. You may not know them. It may not make sense to you, but God knows what He's doing. There's a reason they need your healing. Don't withhold it. Don't try to reason it out. In my early 20s, a young man started coming up to the gym to play basketball with us. He was a loner. He was very unfriendly, very cold. He never talked. Even during the games, he wouldn't interact with us. Most of the guys just ignored him. But something down in here told me to reach out to him and make him feel welcome. I found out that his name was Bo. When he would come into the gym, I would go over and say, "Hey, Bo, it's great to see you today." He never said anything. He just hit his chest twice and walked away. I didn't know what that meant, but I hit my chest twice and walked away. This went on for several years. I saw him 4 or 5 times a week. Well, I stopped playing basketball there, and I hadn't seen Bo in over 20 years. One Sunday, he showed up at church. I saw him afterwards. I thought, where do I know this guy from? He said, I'm Bo. We used to play basketball together. That's the most I'd ever heard him talk. He went on to tell how he grew up in the projects. At 14, he started living on his own. Nobody wanted him. He never felt loved or accepted. He said, one of the main reasons I went up to the gym was to hear you say, great to see you today, because nobody had told me that they were glad to see me. Those simple words, letting him know that I cared, were like life-giving water. Today, Bo is married. He introduced me to his children. He's setting a new standard for his family. What am I saying? Nobody is in your life by accident. Don't ignore what you feel on the inside, that compassion to encourage them, that desire to be their friend. Take time to make them feel loved. Doesn't have to be something big. Just good to see you. I believe in you. I'm praying for you. Just let them know that you care.
Hopefully, you just watched another video.
Sean, they will.
We'll see.
Oh, boy.
See, that one gets me going.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I didn't cry at the end.
Well, neither did I. But, you know, what
Looked
I
like you did.
appreciate about
I saw tears.
right? He gets into the religious aspect of it, but the message behind it is
Right.
very little to actually do with that.
Yep.
One thing I easily can agree on is how powerful our words are. And it's one of the things that made me dedicate so much of myself to, like, I want to lift people up, not put them down. When I was younger, I went through those phases of manipulation and being that type of person, and I never want to be it again. And I strive to make my life the polar opposite of those moments. You know what I mean? That I spend so much of my talents in this world for being able to help shape people's emotions and feelings and to use it to my advantage as opposed to using it to just make them the best that they can be. You know, there was always something selfish behind it. Whereas now the selfishness is more just like the gratitude of seeing someone like really believe in themselves or like, yeah, you're right, I can do this. I didn't think about it that way. Thanks for the pep talk. You know what I mean? Pulling that out of people is so much more, and everybody's carrying wounds, you know, that you can move on from things. You can put things behind you. You can not let them guide your life, but you'll always carry the scars. You know what I mean? And so you don't ever know where people have been, what people have been through, what their life has experienced that, you know, has led them to be the way that they are. I really do try to hold on all the time to the saying that hurt people, and it makes it a little easier to be compassionate, you know, that it's the people who are hurting the most who are the ones who lash out, the ones who need that to be a part of their life, to be a part of the pain and suffering, and they need other people to experience the same thing that they're going through, and that's the main reason why they do it. You know, a majority of the humans that you run into are not just like sociopath, narcissist, and, you know, crazy.
Right.
They've all had experiences that have helped shape them to be the way that they are. And they can also have an experience that can help unshape them. You know, now that doesn't mean that you need to sacrifice your happiness and sanity trying to show them the light. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there are people who, you know, the only way that they're going to learn is through their own trials and experiences. No matter what you say, you can never change them. But all you can ever do is hope to plant the seeds, and planting the seeds starts with being kind, which is why I wanted to focus so much on it today.
I'd go as far as to say probably 99% of the people that you try to be kind to, or people that you are kind to through your daily life, are not the people that you need to work on showing them the light.
Right?
Show them that there is a light.
Yeah.
Let them find their way there, because sometimes that's all people want or need. Sometimes they need more, and those people will reach out and find ways at times, but don't go into it thinking you need to be everybody's savior and things like that. That will then rub them the wrong way.
Right.
Potentially. But focus those battles on like you and the people closest around you, and then have them spread the good word.
Yeah.
But because people are thinking, I can't change much of this, like the whole voting thing too. I'm not going to vote. What does my voice count? And then, you know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people don't vote, and then there you go. So.
Well, that's why I've always loved the planting seeds of kindness analogy, because you may not get to see those plants grow and bloom, but when they do, it's always something beautiful, you know. And there are a lot of people who do work in this world where you may not necessarily see the labor of it yourself, you know. And you plant a tree, and yeah, you can see the tree grow and you can see it, but will you ever see it in its mightiest form? You know, a 700-year-old redwood? No, but you could plant a redwood today that may make a 700-year journey into the future. And you know, just because you're not there for the end game doesn't mean you can't be proud of the seeds that you planted. And so being kind doesn't have to carry around any expectation. You don't have to expect that good things are going to come to you by being nice to people. You definitely can't expect the world to be nice to you because you're kinder. That's like, seeing the analogy, that's like expecting the lion not to eat you because you're a vegetarian. You know, that
I've never heard that one.
Sometimes
is that a real saying?
Yeah, that's a real saying. Sometimes the world is just the way that it is. You can't expect to get kindness because you're kind. You can't, you know, have the expectation that the world's going to change overnight for you. But I can promise that the more kind you are, the better you sleep, the better you feel about yourself, the better you are a human being, the easier life's toll is on you, which is better.
I feel that. Chew on that one too. Sorry,
you want to chew on it all the way to comedy?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be a good one.
This next guy, he just got done touring with Mr. Paul Rodriguez and Ahmed. Give it up for Amir K, everybody.
This is good, man. It's so diverse here. I just got off the road, like he said, with Ahmed. Did you see how racist he was with that name? I just got off the road with them, dude. All Middle Eastern. Just middle-aged Middle Eastern, man, just like this. With their stupid mustaches. Every time I came out, I felt like I was in the living room of my parents' house. I was just waiting for my dad to come in the back and just be like, tell us some jokes, you fucking clown. Waste of education. Waste of my money. Son of the bitch. That's how my dad talks, dude. 28 years I had to deal with that voice, and he'll never be at a real show because he hates stand. He doesn't get stand-up. He hates this shit, right? Like in high school, senior year, I got class clown, right? He's going through my yearbook, sees the picture. Amir, son of the bitch, you're a fucking clown. I brought you to this country to be a clown, motherfucking. You can be a lawyer. You can be a doctor. You can open up a bank. I'm like, Dad, you can't just go around opening up banks. You like the people to laughing at you? You like them to laughing at you, huh? I'm like, yeah, Dad, I kind of like making people laugh. Well, let's show them your report card, motherfucker.
Thank you, Laugh Factory. They do a good job of spotlighting comics that you might not have heard of.
And they're always funny. I've never seen a boring laugh.
Right? No, I mean, even the one we didn't choose this week was still funny, but it was just like this other guy was just a little bit.
Yeah, I like his voice. His freaking voice is so freaking funny. the voice of his dad.
Right.
Yeah, not his voice. His voice was pretty average male.
That's right.
You know?
Typical.
Yeah.
Been a good show today.
It has.
I
We're
like
just saying how my computer has lasted longer than anticipated. So
It's a
for
fact.
that I am grateful.
We count our positives.
Yep.
Just like me falling on my face on the ice yesterday in the parking lot.
Yep. No coffee on you.
Did not spill my coffee on myself. It landed all over the place everywhere else. I also smashed my phone into the ground. I was on the concrete and it did not break. So, 2 victories coming from that yesterday.
Yeah.
I can get down with both of those positives. Hopefully, you find yourself face down on the concrete holding on to the positives this week. Because we know life's going to shit on you. That's going to happen.
It just happens.
Might as well use it as fertilizer and grow.
Every time you say that, I get a freaking kick out of it. Because it's poop.
Because it's a poop joke.
Because it's poop. I don't know what you want me to say after you make a poop joke.
Nothing. That's a good way to end it.
But it's a good way to end it.
We love you guys.
I had fun, Sean.
It's been a good day. We kept it a little bit shorter for you. If you want it longer, let us know. If you want it shorter, let us know. If you don't let us know anything, we're just going to keep doing us.
Yeah, literally are not going to stop doing what we're doing.
It's enjoyable at this point. So hopefully you're tuned in. Hopefully you're enjoying the BOWA show. Hopefully you're spreading some love, tackling today, and as always, making the best of what's around.
I was pissing the night away last night. I danced like a middle-aged man.
You got the hair to go along with it.
Of a middle-aged man?
Yeah.
Are we sure?
Yeah, you do. You're like a midlife crisis on your head.
Hey, you're trashing me today. God.
Only for YouTube. Yes, the podcast gets that too. Whatever, guys. Enjoy. Thanks for joining us, YouTube. Let's go see if we can get this edited. Asa.